Let me tell you, if you'd told me 3 years ago that a woman in tennis whites would try to have me arrested on my own damn property for fishing in the same lake my granddad bought before World War II, well, I'd have laughed right in your face. But that's exactly how this whole circus began, with a Karen. Her name was Brittany, but you know, the type calling me a trespasser while she charged 47 families $300 a month for the privilege of using my lake. My lake. The one my grandfather bought with money he scraped together in 1943, the one with his initials carved into the big oak on the shore. And the worst part, those poor families she was milking. They had no idea. They'd bought homes at luxury prices, promised lake access that never existed in the first place. Brittany knew it too. She saw my family's 80-year legacy as her own personal ATM. 3 years of this. 3 years of letters, cops' threats, and me standing on my own dock, looking at my name on the deed, wondering if sanity had just up and left East Texas for good. The thing about legacy is you don't really know what it's worth to you until someone tries to steal it. My name's Clayton Webb, and my family's owned this 85-acre spread since before the government even finished paving the main road. All of it 12 acres of water right in the center. And if I may say so, the prettiest bit of countryside in 3 counties. That lake's where I learned to fish with my dad, where my son Jake caught his first base, where if you stand still on the dock at dusk, you can still catch the scent of my grandfather's pipe smoke in the air. We'd planned to live out our days here, Martha and I. I'd retired after 30 years working heavy equipment, slowed down a bit after my ticker gave me a warning shot, but we managed. Jake, our boy, lives in the guest house. He's got his struggles, but he's sharp as a tack and he helps out when he can. Then in 2019, everything changed. Some developer bought up all the land around us, parcels my family had sold off years before for cattle and taxes, and built this highfalutin subdivision called Lakeview Estates. 47 houses, big glossy brochures, pictures of sparkling blue water, happy families barbecuing on their private beach, kids splashing in their community lake. Only there was just one little problem: they didn't own the lake. Brittany Ashford, the HOA president, rolled in from Dallas, driving a white BMW so clean you could do surgery on the hood. She'd look at folks like me, boots, muddy hat, a little worn as if I'd just crawled out of a hole. She ran things like a business, with HOA meetings run tighter than a Sunday church service, and an attitude that screamed, "I'm always right." It was Martha who found the letter still smelled like bacon and fresh coffee when I opened it. Notice of community assessment. It said bold as brass. They wanted me to cough up $300 a month for lake maintenance plus $2,000 in retroactive fees for unauthorized lake usage on my own lake. I just sat there staring at the paper coffee going cold in my hands. "What is it, honey?" Martha asked, but the answer was right there in my face. The scam was simple, almost elegant if you appreciate a good con. Build your fancy homes around someone else's lake, sell exclusive access to the water, and then hope the owner doesn't have the heart or the money to fight you. Those homeowners, I almost felt bad for them. They thought they were buying their own little slice of paradise, paying a premium for the view and the privilege. Turns out all they bought was trouble. Brittany, though, she knew exactly what she was doing. You could see it in her eyes, the way she talked at you, not to you. Calculated, not ignorance, not confusion, just cold, hard business. I dug out the old wooden box where we keep the important stuff. There it was, my grandfather's original deed, yellowed and soft at the edges, but every word still clear as gospel. It described our property down to the inch water rights, lake bed, buffer zone. Everything. Martha watched me lay it out on the table. "We're about to have ourselves a fight, aren't we?" she said, more statement than question. And boy, was she right. First shot in this war came on a Tuesday in June, hot, muggy, not a cloud in sight. I was sitting on the dock with my coffee checking lines before the sun got too mean when I heard car doors slamming up by the road. Down marches Brittany Sheriff's deputy in tow, pointing at me like I'd just stolen her dog. "That man is trespassing on private HOA property," she told the officer, her voice sharp as glass. Deputy looked at me, then at her. "Sir, ma'am here says you're on community property without permission." I could feel my heart thumping, but I just reached into my wallet, pulled out the deed. "Officer, this is my dock, my lake, my property. Bought and paid for in 1943. He read it, nodded, and handed it back. "Ma'am, this appears to be a civil property dispute. I can't remove someone from their own land." Brittany turned so red I thought she'd explode. They left her muttering threats and the deputy looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. That night I fired up the old computer. Public records real estate listing, sure enough, there it was. Exclusive private lake access. My dock, my shoreline, my grandfather's oak, all used as selling points for homes I'd never even set foot in. And they were charging $500 lake access deposits to new homeowners. 12 families in 6 months, that's $6,000 just for access to water they didn't own. Martha just shook her head when I showed her. They're selling our Lake Clayton. Look at this. There's Jake's swimming hole. That's when it really hit me. These folks, most of them didn't even know. But ignorance doesn't mean it isn't trespassing. The next morning, Jake helped me set up a security camera overlooking the main lake access. That boy, disabled or not, he's a whiz with technology. Within a week, we had footage: kids building sandcastles, teenagers jumping off our dock, parents grilling, leaving trash behind. The hardest part was the kids, honestly. Just playing, having a blast. No clue they were being dragged into someone else's legal mess. We started logging everything: license plates, incidents, times. If we were going to fight, we'd do it right. 2 weeks later, Brittany upped the ante. I woke up to find brand new signs posted all around the lake private community property. No trespassing. Professional job, too. Metal posts, concrete. Families already setting up for the day, barbecuing on our shoreline like it was theirs. The smell of sunscreen and charcoal used to mean summer to me. Now it just smelled like trouble. So I went to the hardware store, bought the biggest bolt cutters they had, and my own no trespassing signs. If she wanted a sign war, she'd get one. I cut down every one of her signs, stacked them in the barn, and put up mine right on the property line survey markers from the 40s, still standing proud. That night, Jake comes flying in with his laptop. "Dad, you gotta see this. The HOA Facebook group's on fire." Brittany had posted a long rant about the problem neighbor refusing to cooperate, complete with photos of families on my dock. The comments, "Hoo boy." Some mad at me for stealing their lake, others starting to get suspicious. But Jake had found something else, a listing for a house that sold for $750,000, nearly $200,000 more than similar homes without water access. 47 houses, everyone sold with lake access as the top selling point. Quick math, $200,000 times 47 is nearly $10 million in fraudulent sales. All based on a lie. Next morning, a county surveyor shows up. Brittany had filed a complaint saying my property lines were inaccurate. 3 hours later, the surveyor shakes my hand. "Mr. Webb, your boundaries are exactly where they've always been. The lake is entirely on your land, plus a 100-foot buffer." The look on Brittany's face when the report came in worth every gray hair. But you know, Martha had a point that evening. As we watched the sun set over the water. What if they really believe they own it? "What if they were swindled too?" she said. "Then they got fooled. But it doesn't make our lake any less ours," I answered. Things hit a fever pitch in July. Sirens up the drive, 2 patrol cars, and a detective. Brittany had filed a complaint: vandalism, destruction of community property, for removing her signs. Detective Rodriguez listened to her rant, then turned to me. I handed him my deed and the surveyor's report. He read them, nodded, and said, "Ma'am, do you have documentation of HOA ownership?" Brittany danced around the question, citing implied rights and community standards, everything except actual ownership. The detective looked at both of us. "This is a civil matter, but unless you can show me something, it looks like Mr. Webb owns this property." A week later, emergency HOA meeting. Martha insisted on coming. Jake streamed it to his social media. Brittany had a PowerPoint, no joke, titled "Protecting Our Community Investment." Photos of my dock and my cattle as community amenities under threat. She finished by pointing at me. "This man is trying to steal your lake." I stood up, folder of documents in hand. "Folks, this isn't about keeping you away from the water. It's about who actually owns it. Here's the deed. My family's had it since 1943. Mrs. Ellis, a homeowner, asked, "So we don't really have access," I told her. "Your real estate agent and this HOA sold you something they never owned." That's when Mr. Thompson stood up. A retired lawyer, lived there a year. He'd gone through the documents. The HOA never owned any lake. Mr. Webb's deed is clear. Legally, the HOA has no claim. Room exploded. Half angry at me, half at Brittany. Jake's live stream blowing up with stories from all over the country. But the twist came fast. My lawyer, Bill, found the original land grants buried in the county records. Not only did my grandfather buy the lake, he bought every inch of the lake bed, the water, and 100 feet of land around it. The developer had bought up the farmland, but not the water, not even a shared easement. For 80 years, we owned that lake, no exceptions. Every fee, every sale, every amenity charge, the whole thing was a fraud. Bill leaned in, eyes twinkling. Clayton, do you realize what this means? The HOA owes you, and every family they charged is owed a refund. The sense of relief, man, it was something. Like taking off a pack you've carried so long you forgot how heavy it was. But you know what? I wasn't about to sue a bunch of families who didn't know any better. Brittany, though, she was about to learn what karma tastes like. Labor Day weekend, we made our move. Bill and I were sipping sweet tea on the porch, cattle lowing in the field, when it hit me time to draw the line, literally. We brought in my old buddy Frank, who owns an excavation business, and marked the property line right through what the HOA called their community beach. 10 feet wide, 6 feet deep, big enough that nobody would ignore it. Frank was like a kid at Christmas. Best ditch I'll ever dig, he said. We timed it for maximum witnesses. Sheriff notified news crews, invited Jake's cameras everywhere. Saturday dawned perfect. Brittany's BMW parked right in the beach area, families setting up for what they thought was their festival. At 6:30 sharp, Frank fired up the excavator. 50 families stared as we carved a trench across their main path. Holy shit, someone yelled. Kids cried, parents grabbed them back. Brittany ran screaming. Frank just kept digging. Within minutes, groundwater filled the trench. Brittany's BMW front row center marooned on its own private island. Mrs. Patterson from the county clerk's office was there with the official records looking like a referee. TV reporter Jessica Martinez stuck a mic in my face. Mr. Webb, what's happening here? I held up the deed for the camera. For 3 years, this HOA's charged families to use my private lake over $40,000 in illegal fees while calling me a trespasser. That ends today. Crowd lost it. Demands for refunds. Calls to real estate agents, chaos everywhere. Brittany tried to stand her ground. We have rights, but Deputy Martinez shut her down. Ma'am, you're trespassing. Time to go. She refused, got herself cuffed on camera, her BMW sitting like a monument to her arrogance. The aftermath, swift and brutal. HOA dissolved Brittany. Facing criminal charges, refunds issued. 3 real estate agents lost their licenses. My family got every penny of legal fees back and then some. We set up fair access agreements for the families, $50 a month for those who wanted to use the lake, a fraction of what Brittany charged. Jake organized a youth fishing tournament. Martha's Garden Club took over the pavilion, and property values went up because, as it turns out, people prefer honesty to lawsuits. Even Jake's social media blew up, helping other families fight back against HOA overreach. 6 months later, I filled in most of the trench but left a little pond where Brittany's BMW got stuck as a reminder. Jake's drone footage went viral, started a nationwide conversation about property rights and standing up for yourself. My grandson caught his first base last week, same dock as always. If there's one thing I learned, it's this: bullies only win if you let them. Stand up for your legacy, know your rights. And if some petty tyrant ever tries to take what's yours, remember a good excavator, and the truth on your side will win every time. So what do you think? Where's the line between community and theft? Have you ever tangled with an HOA or seen power go straight to someone's head? Drop your stories below. I read them all. And if you ever need advice on boundary lines or finding a good excavator, you know who to ask.